is Luca. Many of you would have seen me doing the calming stroking with my Border Collie Pie on the website. I thought it'd be good to show you how to do it with an older puppy who's particularly ticklish. And Luca's around 10 months old now, and pretty typical of this type of high energy gun dog is touching seems to make him really silly and ticklish and get him super excited, which is sort of programmed in them from the litter. When one of the other puppies moves, it means the beginning of play and fun and biting and crazy stuff. So I just want to do this with Luca and in real time, and hopefully you'll see him change. This is actually, Luca's been with me for about 4 or 5 days now, and believe it or not, this is a lot better than he was, but you can see the more attention, physical attention I give him, the sillier he's likely to get before he becomes calm. So I'm stroking his entire nervous system. When I stroke his back, he's trying to do everything he can to avoid me doing it. I'm just trying to physically get him where I want him a bit so I can do it. Oh, he's just going to slightly choke on me a bit. I'm not using, I've got a slip lead on him here, I'm not using that, I'm using his fixed collar. Maybe I'll take that off. The only reason I've got this lead on is because I'm going to put my chair leg through it just to make sure if I lose the collar he can't actually get right away from me, because that will defeat the whole purpose. He's got to feel some sense of restriction for him to it's like he's got a choice, not a huge choice. He's got to stay near me, he's got to stay within the length of the lead, but I don't want him to be able to shoot off into another room, because that would be, by the time I got him back, he'd have had too much fun. So I want him to just have to stay with me, and I'm quite liking the way he's responding right now. And Luca's the kind of dog, I think, that would be as hard to get him accepting this, and just as hard when I choose to stop stroking him. I suspect he'll think he calls the shots on that front and says when we do stuff and when we don't. He's just going to try and bite the lead. I'm going to ignore that as much as I can, because that's just one of Luca's little tricks that he does to get us playing with him or interacting with him in the way he wants rather than in the way I want. As you can see, this isn't like this is painful for him or too stressful. He's just, he finds it a little stressful because he doesn't like the containment, this being made to be here. But if we can't do this in such a nice way as I'm trying to do it now, then he can't be examined for the vet, he can't be groomed, he can't be cared for properly, and he certainly can't be trained either, because if they won't accept any sort of physical touch in a calm and relaxed way, we can't train him. So we've got to explain things to him. Oh, that's lovely, that little yawn. One little step at a time. So I don't know how much the yawn means, but it usually means they're starting to engage their brain a little bit. So it's hard with every dog to, usually you know what it means by what happens next. So he's just gone back to chewing the lead again. But he feels nicer under my hand already. He's not, I know he's chewing on that lead. Again, I'm just going to ignore that. I can afford a new lead if he bites through it. And to me, it's worth sacrificing a lead to actually teach Luca how to accept touch. It might be something that has to be sacrificed. And he has got quite a good set of jaw on him. I can hear him working his way through that in a minute. I'm just going to bring him out so that you can see his head. I want you to be able to see what he's doing. I feel like and maybe next time I do this I'll be on the floor, because that could be a little harder for him having me there. So maybe I'll just take that off him for a second, just so that it's not part of the game. And if I wanted him to, there we go, he's dropped it. I'm just going to stop him going back and getting it now and just keep stroking him. So I'm just restricting his access to that now by hanging onto his collar. I'm going to hang on quite hard. But this is all in Luca's world, this is all part of the game. There's a good man. There's a good man. So I wouldn't say talk to them generally, I just want him to know he's not wrong. Quite like in this moment, because my collar, the hand in the collar's doing absolutely no work at the moment. I'm not going to risk taking even one finger out and keeping a good hold of the collar, but I haven't got any tension in my hand. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't give me a bump on the nose or a kiss in a minute. I prefer the kiss, but I think with him. And that isn't him wanting to lie down, that's him wanting to get back to the lead, so I'm going to just push that out of the way so that if he does want to lie down he can, but I don't want him just lying down to chew the lead, I want him to lie down because he chooses to lie down. And as you can see, he's left a little resistance there, he doesn't want to come close. I'm real careful with my hand when I pull him closer to me, just for the sake of my back. I'm very careful not to put my hand there because that would hurt him. So any time I pull him toward me, I'd either go flat on his rib cage and I'd keep my hand flat, not grip, or flat on his thigh there and pull him towards me, because what I don't want to do at any point is hurt him with my hands or create extra friction or tension because my hand has done something accidentally unkind, which is quite easy, so I don't want him on my lap. We just have a few rules attached to this, which I just want him here with his feet on the ground and not being. So I started off saying I'm going to lead him to chew that lead, and then I changed my mind, and sometimes when I'm doing this it is always about a little bit of feel and just trying not to react to the first thing the dog does, which was chewing the lead, but then he was obviously just going to happily gnaw through it, and it was actually distracting him from the job at hand, which is this one again, flat hand on his thigh, keeping him close. He's resisting me a little bit here, just relax, staying there until he relaxes, and then just going back to stroking again. So I'm using minimal force. And the hand in the collar's doing nothing again at the minute. As soon as I said that, it had to work. There he is trying to fight me. I'm going to go back to this. And this, you know, we're sitting in a warm kitchen. There's nothing too bad going on. He's been to the toilet. He's had his breakfast. He's having a good day generally. He's had a run. And, you know, this isn't like giving him a hard time with this. This should be something, it's like having a good massage, you know. Who's going to complain at that? So this hand could go too fast, but you can't, oh that's lovely, that's real good to see. But it can't go too slow, so I could slow it down and it would still have a good impact. But if I went faster it would wind him up, which I'm not going to do right now because he's just coming, winding himself up at the moment. And that's pretty classic. So that's twice now when he's yawned. That's pretty Luca classic. He's yawned, and then he started to come down, and then he sort of goes, oh no, I can't possibly do that. I'll wind myself back up again. So I'm just going to disengage myself. I don't want to have a row. I don't want to fight. We're just going to get those feet back on the ground and get back to doing what I was doing before. So minimal stress or minimal fight from me. I'm not trying to fight him, I'm just blocking him when he gives me daft stuff. I'm not telling him off. I don't want to buy into his misbehaviour. That would just be, and so I'm beginning to notice a pattern develop with Luca here, which is, I would say, is pretty classic of a gun dog of this age. that hasn't learnt to relax to touch yet, and that is as soon as he starts to feel himself enjoy it and go, he sort of just revs himself back up in some way and tries to avoid relaxing because it's just not in his agenda yet. So we've just got to teach him how to relax, which I guess that's a human thing. We humans have to learn how to do that too, you know, by meditation or yoga or massage or whatever your tool of choice is for learning how to relax. And I'm liking this at the minute. This feels lovely. It feels really... It's interesting how they change under your hand, and you can sort of feel that. You just see that little drop of the head there, another drop of the head. Now he's looking for something to be mischievous with again, so I'll just get him back here. Let's see if each time he starts to fight, if the fight starts to get a little less. I think there was a yawn, so I think he might have to bite the table just out of pure frustration. But he's given that up. So I'm trying to keep my voice pretty calm. I wanted to laugh then, but and that would have set him right off into major wriggle mode. So I didn't. So I'm just going to get him back again. Being careful to keep my hand flat. Nearly got my fingers in his muscle then. Don't want to do that. I want to get the collar loose again as quickly as I can. So this collar hopefully is loose, is tight for seconds while I restrict him. And then as soon as he sort of gives to me a little bit, it's going soft again. Just see how quietly persistent. I thought he might be a great dog to do this with. Luckily I got this on camera because it's been easy to have done this without recording it. And to me, our real work in training, you know, I have started doing some work with Luca, but we can't really get stuck in if I can't stroke him and touch him. And right now, if I praise him when he does something good by touching him, he completely has a meltdown and charges around and tries to flatten me and bite my shoes and just go crazy. So this is a big, big lesson for him, and it's going to be a big turning point. And I'm quite excited about seeing how this changes him in his training tomorrow. So he's never had to just submit to this, I don't think. I'm not saying he doesn't like being stroked and hasn't been stroked, he certainly has. He's very loved in his home. But he hasn't learnt to accept this on human terms. It's all been on our Luca time frame terms. That's quite nice. He's sort of pushing into me now. There's no pressure on that collar. And I'll just try and remember to tell you when there's any pressure on it, but it really shouldn't be for many seconds. Only when you see him resisting me is it tight. If it didn't relax the minute he did, he wouldn't have anywhere to go with his behaviour. I'm just loving this right now. This is gorgeous. You see that little adjustment there of his back end. He almost wanted to put it on the floor, and there's a little burp. Just his tummy relaxing maybe a little bit too. That's a good sign. Loving this. He's sort of, you might not be able to see the angle of the camera at the minute, but his body's gone quite bendy. It's not dead straight now, so he's sort of going a little bit wobbly on his feet as he's relaxing. And can you see his back end just sort of swaying slightly there? He can't quite let himself go, but he went further than he has done before. I think that was definitely a step on. And I don't know how far we'll get today with Luca, but I'm really, really pleased with that last few minutes there. And now he's got to just give me a fight again. Oh, bless him. As I said, I'm not fighting back, I'm just resisting kindly and gently and getting back to stroking him again. Because he's just got to learn to accept this sort of touch and love. I don't know whether you can see his expression. I suspect that's quite a nice expression on his face at the minute. Just want you to know that this isn't, I don't want to upset him, but he may have to get a little bit stressed in order to be able to deal with this. And because we're breaking new ground for him. And when you break new ground with a 10-month-old dog, it can look a little bit weird in places, but if it's too difficult, it's not right. I couldn't obviously do this in a crowded shopping centre or in the middle of the field or even in the garden. I've chosen the quietest place in the house with none of the other dogs around him so that he hasn't got that as a distraction, and it's just about me and him and the camera. And did you see then I'd had to have hurt him to pull him close there, so I didn't. Just let it go and then get myself back in a good position. Oh, ow, that was my me nearly doing a split then. Thanks, Luke. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. There we go. Good boy. There we are. Trying to give me a cuddle of the leg. I could do without that one. And back to bendy shape again. That's real good. And I don't know what this will look like when I play it back, but it certainly feels like the battles, the resistance lasts less time and it doesn't feel quite as hard. And I think in a minute I might stop and then do this again some more later. There's a lovely yawn. If you can stay in this relaxed state, I think I'm going to call it a day there for now. And we can pick this up in the same place either later today or tomorrow, or just see what feels right. But that was a huge breakthrough, so I'm just going to stop while I'm in charge. Thank you for watching.